Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. In the process of us collectively walking toward ascension and the mechanic of the Melchizedek training or Melchizedek order of neutrality and the information that we are receiving, we have discussed and the core issue, and I'm going to repeat this. I'm to apologize for repeating this, but it's just a quick summary so that we are all in the same uh, um, uh, uh, we have the same foundation. Before there was anything else, there was nothing more than an infinite desire to give. There was nothing outside of it, just that. But that desire to give could not reflect itself, meaning it didn't have a mirror, it could not see itself, and therefore it was not self-aware. And to emancipate into self-awareness, it created an equally infinite desire to receive. And for a while there, the desire to give and the desire to receive reflected each other, meaning the giver would give to the receiver would then reflect back the gifts received by being grateful for the gift received. And only to the gratitude would the giver be able to see itself. Okay? But something happened over time. And it's something that I can explain in many ways. And I'm going to explain in a second by some biblical passages as well from Job, that over a period of time, when you keep getting gifts from one source and one source all the time, you become entitled. Instead of being grateful and perpetually grateful for what you're receiving. Like I had read you sections of John chapter 4 of Revelation of John chapter 4, where John was taken up into the heaven, into the throne room of God, and there were four living creatures there, the four cherubim, and they were perpetually day and night worshiping God, saying, Holy, 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 thanking God for having created and manifested the entire universe. This is what the receiver was supposed to be doing. But over a period of time, the receiver kind of became entitled. It's something that evaporates because gratitude as an emotion must be perpetually maintained. It is a state, it's not a state of consciousness even, it's a state of heart. It's a state of emotion, and it has to be perpetually being maintained in order for God to continue to see itself back into the mirror. Now, and because the other side of entitlement that began to grow is shame, the receiver began to be shameful and undeserving and realize I have to earn this, etc., etc. So it shrunk down at some point, saying no to the giver. And when that happened, it realized that he made a mistake because now it shrunk at the size of a dot, from infinity into a dot in an instant. And it realized I made a mistake. Come back, receiver, restore everything the way they were. I made a mistake. But the giver knew I can fulfill every wish the receiver has, but I cannot remove his shame. I have to figure out a different way. So when it came back to touch the receiver, it shattered it in a spiritual detonation, and multiverses were created with the pieces of infinity that the receiver was holding shattering into plurality, exploding out into planets, stars, even us, and also inserted in that bubble of physical manifestation was Satan, a principle that was there as the resistance to try to help us, a tough teacher or tutor to resist us, accuse us of being incomplete, of being broken, so that we can overcome that voice. And in the process of overcoming it, we will remove the shame, we will remove the undeservedness, and we will learn now how to be grateful back again and the restoration of the original covenant with God. So these things have to happen in a certain kind of sequence in order for it to work correctly. So I had said to you before that I want to explain the entitlement. And I want to read you very shortly just a few verses from Job. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's Job chapter 1. And I'm going to, at the beginning of the verse 1 to 5, talks about Job and how blessed he was, how he was, at the end of the first verse, it says that Job is, that Job feared God and eschewed evil. And he was born into, and there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he was so abundant and so rich. He had every favor in the world because God saw his piety and his righteousness and gave him all kind of benefit. Kind of similar to what was happening between the original giver and receiver. Job and his family were being blessed nonstop. Everything they wanted from God, they got. And the whole rest of the chapter goes into all of the number of goats and animals and the home and the number of children and the wives and all the things that he had. Okay, he was simply favored and blessed by God. But verse 6 begin as follows. Now there was a day when the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came along also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down on it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job? For there is none like him on earth, a perfect and upright man, one that fear God and eschews evil. Okay, so I'm going to stop here and I'm going to give some explanation. I want you to understand there was I think it was a Netflix series. There were 2 seasons of this called Good Omen. And it's about 2 angels that were originally all angels, and one of them fell. But they remained friends for a long time. And then now fast forward to moment of creation until now, they're still friends. And they went to multiple things, biblical experiences, whether it was creation, whether it was the Garden of Eden, the men being chased out of the Garden of Eden, whether it was the crucifixion of Christ. They went to multiple experiences together. They were good friends, actually. They ended up being good friends. Or one now a demon, the other one an angel. I want you to understand something. In that series, when God, because if you have to understand here is that God is the one. First of all, Satan was not in the pit of fire. He was not isolated. He was in a meeting with the angel in the throne room with God. And God spoke to him like he was a perfect friend and colleague. Okay? There was no animosity, no sense of you don't belong here, I cast thee back into the darkness. There's no such thing. Okay? In fact, God is the one that said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? Because there's nobody as righteous, as good as him. But what Satan went and said to him, yes, he can do no wrong because you are blessing him. You are blessing him incessantly. Am I allowed to test him? And God said, yes, you can. You cannot kill them, but you can, yes, you can do that. And then the rest of the chapter goes into Job starting to lose everything. Now, I want you to understand that in that series called The Good Omen, that whole scene where the demon is sent to take away all the gifts that Job had, Job and his children refuse to believe that that can happen to them. Because this is the household of Job. Only blessings can happen here. We're highly favored and blessed by God. No such thing can happen to us. We are so connected to God that only blessing can happen here. And I'm warning you because we are all about to ascend. Very short order. And when that happens, the attitude of this entitlement can easily corrupt the ego. And if you're going around telling people how favored you are by God, that everything that you do, God bless, everything that you do, God touch, everything that you do, only you guys have that special connection to God, you're bragging. It's coming from an inferiority, superiority complex, because they are both on the same seesaw. It's you, it's still undeservedness, camouflage. And the in that scene when the children of Job kept saying that's not possible to the demon who was about to destroy them. It can't be. It cannot be, because we are the favorite of God and nothing like this can touch us. And of course, like this, they lost everything. And in the movie, they did it very correctly. They said the demons said to the angel that they were friends of creation, but I have a permit from God that I can do this. And the angel was so shocked. What do you mean God is allowing you to do this? Right? And so the entitlement that Job and his family had, God put the Satan and his minion onto them as a way to help them remove the entitlement and remove the idea that they're completely blessed and highly favored by God and nothing bad can happen to them. Okay? So there is you need to understand this and have humility as God is giving to you, and stop bragging. Stop talking to everyone. I had gone to a meeting in 2015 to a mastermind meeting in Los Angeles, and I had met all of these healers and people that were like, it's about 120 of us that were there. And one of the people I met there was a woman that kept walking around and saying to everybody else, because they give us 2 minutes to go up front and present ourselves to the group and tell everybody what we do, like a pitch, right? About the kind of work, how do you want to serve the world? And this woman, not only during that time, but over and over again, kept bragging over and over again, I'm an ascended being. I'm an ascended being. Everywhere she went, she kept on talking about how ascended and how she's completely an ascended being. I can tell you for sure that if you're ascended, that's the last thing that you will say. You don't go walk around and tell everybody you're ascended. If you're doing this, you're not ascended. No one, it's like me walking into a room and telling everybody I'm a man. I don't need to say this. It's self-evident. When you're ascended and the light of God is you and infinity times infinity or indivisible, you don't need to say it. It's self-evident. You don't need to express it and brag and tell everybody that you're that. We 2 days and 2 nights with these people. Over and over again, this woman was walking around like a gigantic peacock, telling everybody how ascended that she was. And I kept on, I just didn't say anything. I just shook my head and I became very small and very reflective. And I'm like, she's nowhere near ascension. Because that's a sure indication that she's not. Because this is not what ascended individuals do. So be aware of this as you approach ascension, because you can ascend, you can be uplifted and touch light. And for a moment, they identify with the luminosity and become one with it. But you can also fall right after it because you don't have a humble heart. So be aware of this. And Job got tested, and his whole family got tested. And thank God he passed the test because he kept them connected to God. His faith through all the tribulation, he became poor. All kinds of things happened to him. He was on the street. He lost everything. Lost his kids were killed. Lost everything. All of his animals. He lost everything that he had. But because of his faith and never letting go and always say, God, you have a higher plan for me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But I know that something better is coming from you. I will never lose faith in you. And in the end, because of his faith, again, his connection to God and having perpetual hope, even in the darkest spot, he got redeemed. And everything was given back to him. In fact, he had more than he had before. So I wanted to point that out to you and make you understand that entitlement, particularly when you're blessed and you're getting and getting and getting, it's very easy for the entitlement to come in. Very easy. All of a sudden, you're getting, and you're like, I always get. God always bless me. I am favored. And nothing is going to change that. And then boom, something bumped into you. Because the moment you have that attitude, you become Job. And you're going to be tested to see really to remove the entitlement. Now, having said this, the way Spirit worked out for the way we move, and I've been guiding you to do this. I'm repeating every night, every time I go to sleep, every time I'm walking around, I'm in the subway, I'm repeating over and over again, deep and profound reverence for the gift received as a definition of entitlement, of gratitude that I got when I was doing my meditation, cultivation of the virtue about 3 years ago. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. And as I keep repeating this over and over again, I can feel things dissolve around me. I can feel things opening up. I can feel benevolence and kindness all around me. I can feel my energy completely shift. I can feel the vibration around me transform into something so positive and so kind and so benevolent. And I can feel washes of this benevolent frequency washing over me. So I'm encouraging you to do this as well. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received, to bring yourself back into a state of gratitude so that you can begin to reflect the gifts that God, even now, that God is trying to perpetually give to us. Now, the idea of the physically manifested universe, time and space included, and Satan inserted in it, and all the things that we're experiencing, is a dream. Even in quantum physics, this is what puzzle scientists now, when you look at atoms are nothing more than waves, okay? It's very hard to explain this, but at a quantum level, there exist only fluidic waves. Different kind, but all of them are fluidic waves, and they all have areas where there is a kind of like an empty space vibration that's moving so fast that it creates almost like a bubble. And those are things that we would call an electron or proton or that kind of thing, which is the subatomic particle or quartz. And these things are, and if you focus on them further, they are empty. There's nothing there. So what we call for physical reality, although I can bump into the table, I can hit a wall and all that, it really is not solid. In essence, it is a potential for manifestation. It is and there is power, there is energy moving through it, and 18 different kind of like type of fundamental energies that are creating various fields, and that's all that there is. So if in the beginning there existed only an infinite desire to give and nothing else, everything that's created after that, including the physical universes that subsequently manifested, all of them are inside the giver, because nothing exists outside of it. Therefore, you and I are indivisible. We are indivisible to this original giver. And therefore, I am indivisible from God. Now, you may say God, some other people may say goddess, other people may say source, infinity times infinity, the vast continents, Jesus, Buddha, it doesn't matter. However you perceive God to be, this is what you need to understand, that you're indivisible from that, for what your mind or your consciousness can conceive as the creative principle. Now, having said this, what's going to happen is that when you move into a space where you are accepting this as a matter of fact, so it's going to first be an intellectual expansion. You on an intellectual level saying, this knowledge is coming to me that I am indivisible from God. What's going to happen is that you're going to have a pocket of resistance, because the God that you knew previously, that you were separated from, what created the separation is a system in the Kabbalah called Zerapin. Zerapin is a shield. In the symbology in the Kabbalah is the interlaced triangle, and that shield they call the shield of David. That shield, Zerapin, translate as the little face of God. It is a version of God that the average people on the planet can accept, can comprehend, and can process. Whereas higher version, the big face of God, the higher version of God, that is in I am indivisible from God, is something the average person cannot comprehend. And therefore, the Zerapin, the shield, was keeping all the laws and the dogma of religion that told you that thinking that you're actually God is heresy, it's dogma, it's you in perdition. So subconsciously, although intellectually you may feel I'm embracing that expansion, I'm welcoming it. I'm so happy to hear this, and I'm intellectually approaching it. But there is a part of you that will feel, to a degree, a distance. Although you can repeat this, you can understand this intellectually, you may feel emotionally disconnected to that sentence, I am indivisible from God. And that distance is the Zerapin. And it's not just an emotional distance. It comes also, particularly if you grow up religious, it will come with nightmares. It may cause you to be sick. It may cause you to have dreams where you feel you're in school and you don't know, you're being tested for a test and you don't know the topic. It may cause all kinds of like horrible, fearful. I remember years ago, I was going through an expansion of my God concept. I kept on dreaming. I had these nightmares for months before I finally figured it out. What it was is that I kept feeling that there were robbers that were coming to rob me. I remember getting up in my apartment, feeling that I would go to the door and check the door. I could have sworn somebody's outside the door. And the dream got more and more intense. And it took me a very, very long time, over 3 months, to figure out it was the new God concept that was coming up. And the God of and I kept on calling the police. I kept on calling the police. In my dreams, I kept on calling the police. The police that I was calling is the existing Zerapin that holds a smaller version of God. that I grew up because of my religious upbringing, being growing up deeply Catholic and wanting to be a priest and all of that. The Serapine was trying to hold me back. The robber or the intruder that was coming in, it was the new idea of the new God concept. It was the new God concept that was coming in. This tormented me. I was having this dream almost every second night. This went for 3 months. I didn't get it. I kept on thinking, there's a physical intruder, somebody's going after me, blah, blah, blah. And when I finally got it, the book that I was reading that had the concept was Traité de la réintégration des êtres, Treaty on the Reintegration of Being. It's a French book written by Martinez de Pasquale. And when I realized what it was symbolically, I took the Bible, I put it down, and I put the book on top of the Bible to say, now this is my new truth. And the moment I did this, I never had the dream again. I want you to understand that the Serapine is real. It will try to hold you back because the Serapine is coming from Satan, trying to hold you back from emancipation into this higher version of God and the restoration of your original covenant with God. And that effort, the 3 months of struggle that I went through, that was me overcoming the resistance that the accuser was putting to stop me from achieving this integration. So I want you to be very aware of this because it may cause even physical stuff in your body. It may cause certain kind of stuff to manifest. It could be rash. It could be all kinds of things. For me, in my instance, it was this nightmare because it started first as a crazy dream. And in every dream, I was calling the police, trying to get them to arrest this intruder, arrest this intruder, arrest this intruder. And this went on for months before I finally internalized it. I'm like, it's not an intruder. It's the idea of a new God concept that was coming in. That there is a part of me that was part of the Serapine that was so threatened by it, I had to call the defense mechanism of the Serapine, which are the police in the dream, to stop this new idea from coming in, stop me from breaking the glass ceiling. Does that make any sense? Okay. So,
totally, Pierre. Totally.
yes. All right.
Thank you.
No problem. So now I want you to understand this because it may cause all kind of tribulation. It may cause all kinds of stuff because although you intellectually understand something, it's for your betterment and it feels energetically during meditation that it's going better for you. But your subconscious mind doesn't know this. The dog mind, the stuff that you grew up in, the church you grew up in, it doesn't know this. It's going to generate fear. It's going to generate a doubt. It's going to cause all kinds of agitation. And that's part of the resistance that you need to overcome to get back to the restoration of that original covenant with God. And when you're able to do this, you're on a different pace. You're moving into a different territory. You begin now to achieve a depth of understanding, a connection to the divine, where you yield into a higher awareness of who you are and what is your real nature. And if you're indivisible with God, you cannot exist in lack. Lack cannot touch you because if you're indivisible with God, you have to allow. You're now playing the role of the giver because that's what you are. You're now the benefactor. And that's what you have to bring yourself into understanding. And if I am the benefactor, therefore, let me bless myself and my life and everything else that's happening to me. and let me bless everything else around me. Now, any questions, any comments before I proceed to the next piece of this?
Hello?
Yes.
Here, then are we the giver and the receiver at the same time?
Yes. Because all of us have to learn how to give and receive in a balanced manner. That's the whole point. We have to play both roles. And even in normal relationship, whether it's a relationship with a family member or a lover, husband, wife, it doesn't matter. There are times you have to be the receiver. There are times you have to be the giver. And it's not a question of masculine and feminine, because you could be in a gay relationship, and if both of you, or if one person is playing the giver all the time and the other one is playing the receiver, and I don't mean that sexually, I mean if one person is the provider all the time and the other one is just the person that keeps receiving, there's going to be brother shame. You have to give something back to the giver, and vice versa. There has to be reciprocity. So you have to play both roles. Because truly the receiver didn't just play one role. The receiver had the reciprocity of the receiver was to give gratitude back. Because that was the only way that God could actually see itself. When there was gratitude, deep and profound reverence for the gift you just gave me. And without me giving that gratitude back, God will feel unappreciated and unvalued. And this is a great segue also, Esther, for me to actually talk about the next piece, which is, I don't know, this happened about 2 weeks ago. I don't know, it's a day where I was doing my gratitude, deep and profound reverence for the gift received. The whole day was fine. And midday at some point, somebody called me, one of my clients called me. And when the client called me, this is a client that calls often, and sometimes the conversation is short. I'm very generous and very giving. But the way I give, because of what happened to me and my father when I was 4 years old, when my father tried to hurt my mother in front of me, I realized that the reason my mother keeps coming back, and this was not the first time, it was from since birth, it was something that was happening all the time that I had witnessed. It's because my mother is dependent on my dad, and my dad is the giver. And I decided when I was that young, 4 years old, I will become self-sufficient. I didn't know what that word meant, but this is what came to me in my spirit. But the way I did it as a survival mechanism is that I'm going to now give compulsively. I don't want to receive from him or from anyone, because if I receive, I am going to be vulnerable. Therefore, I'm going to give compulsively. I'm going to give to everyone. And I'm giving and I'm giving and I'm giving. So even it's something I've been working on. I'm not in that state now. I'm allowed to receive better and more, and I'm still working on it. But what happened is that that day, a client called me, and and usually I'm so generous with my client. I'm constantly making deals and trying to work things around with them, financially or otherwise. I'm trying to figure out a way to make what may be a difficulty, financial or otherwise, for them work. A lot of time people call me to ask me to heal them and to do all kinds of things. And a lot of time the prayer and the healings are for free. I'm not charging. But this is not the way other people who are in the healing business, in the healing community, in the light work, this is not the way they are. I know people for a fact in their website that are very clear that if you send them an email, there is a price for them to answer the email. If you send them a text, there is a price for them to answer the text. If you want to have a 15-minute conversation, there is a price for everything. I am not this way, because I am giving compulsively, and for me to give is a way to control. because it makes me feel that I am in control, and it's a compulsion. And and as I said, I'm walking away from that pattern, from that paradigm. I'm breaking it, and that therapy, I'm walking away from it. But what happened is that a lot of times these clients call, and when they call, they are, it's a conversation that was supposed to take a minute. I'm not charging for it because this is not my nature. And the conversation, instead of it being a short conversation, can last for 45 minutes to an hour. And I feel, and when the conversation ends, there is no real gratitude. There is no real thank you, or there is a thank you for your help. The thank you feels performative. It doesn't feel like it's real. It feels rather, because I have to be fed too. Although because I am not giving from God, I'm giving from myself. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. I'm giving from Pierre, from my ego. Okay? And as I do this, I am giving and giving, and at some point I feel emptied out. I feel undervalued. I feel emptied out. I feel, and I'm also upset with myself. That day, a week and a half ago, after that conversation, I felt I was upset with myself for keeping this kind of help, giving to people like this client of mine over and over again, when I feel inside I should stop, I should create boundary, I should stop doing this. But I can't find a way. And I'm angry with myself for not creating the boundaries. Okay? And let me go even deeper with you. There is a part of me, deep in my core, that feels that all healing work should be for free. Because, okay, it's very hard for me to know how to price myself. Although that's what I do for a living, and I should be compensated and have a decent environment, a decent home, and have a good life as well. And that's a real problem, because there's a part of me that feels I should. And I'm going to give you an example. Years ago, many years ago, I had a client, a friend and client, who had done the couple could not have, she and her husband could not have children. They did 2 rounds of attempt of in vitro. Okay, with the insurance and everything else, it cost them, every trial that they tried, it cost them $30,000. And it was months and months of these shots and all this stuff that she had to do, and the pain of having taken the eggs out and having fertilized. When the eggs were fertilized outside, they brought the egg back. It never took twice. Okay, it didn't go into it never took. And they came to me. She was in her 40s at the time, early 40s, came to me. I did a 4-hour session with them. Both of them came together. And I did healing for him first and then for her. 3 weeks later, they were pregnant. How much do you charge a client for this? That has always been my problem. Now, I know I didn't do the heal because I don't have that kind of power. But I am the conduit. I created a bridge to allow God, Archangel Gabriel, and the prana of God to come in and to facilitate and to this incredible blessing. But how much do you really charge for this? I spent 4 hours with them, but if you were thinking about the amount of money that they spent already in physically trying to do this, I don't have the nerve to ask people for that kind of money. So in giving and receiving, and particularly doing healing work, I have a difficulty, and it's a complex thing that I'm still trying to release. And why I'm saying this is that as you ascend, you're gonna have the same problem too. Because when you ascend and you connect to God that deeply, you're gonna have the same connection that I had with them to allow the God force to come through me and bless them. Okay? And what you're going to have the same level of difficulty that I'm having right now. Now, this couple was very grateful. In fact, she was so grateful that I'm the godfather of this beautiful 12-year-old boy now. Okay? Who's a blessing, a light into the world. So emotionally intelligent. He's 12 years old going on 70. So bright, so intelligent, so like brilliant in everything that he doesn't have to study. He's all of his work. I mean, he literally is a gift from God. And I feel honored to have been a conduit to allow such great soul to come and incarnate on earth. And I feel complete and I feel nourished back just because of this. But I had so many experiences like this, where things that were impossible happen on my healing table. And I'm able to give to the client things that were extraordinary, and some of them walk away without saying thank you. Or they would say to someone else, and I would hear from them, they were instantaneously healed and all that, but they never, I felt all the time that I was undervalued, and I'm undervaluing myself. And I'm undervaluing what the gift that God is giving me. So that day after that happened, I was fine in the morning. After that conversation happened, I felt like I swallowed glue. There was a big thing or lead or something that was inside of me in my core that made me feel very uncomfortable. I went to sleep. I kept up repeating, because when I'm going to sleep now, I'm repeating all the time, deep and profound reverence for the gift received. I kept on repeating it. It was still there. I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. It was still there. And I kept on praying. I said, God, what is this? And I realized at that moment, being kind of in and out consciousness and going to a deeper realm, I realized, oh my God, this is me and my compulsion to give. And then I heard something different. I said, God, what do I do? And this is what I heard. From this point forward, when you're giving, even when you gave in the past, you need to give from infinity times infinity. And this is the sentence I heard. I am giving and sharing from infinity times infinity, and I am an open valve outpouring divine blessings. The issue is that during all these thoughts, I kept on expecting something in return because my ego was still involved. Even though I was a conduit from God, my ego was still involved in the equation. My residual self-image was still involved. I expected something back. So what I'm doing now, in addition to repeating over and over again, deep and profound reverence for the gift received, I am now also adding, additionally, I am giving and sharing from infinity times infinity. And I am an open valve, outpouring divine blessings. I am giving and sharing from infinity times infinity. And I am an open valve, outpouring divine blessings. I am just an anchor to allow the infinite desire to give to pass through and pour this blessing into the world. And when I begin to repeat this over and over again, the glue, the stuck stuff just dissolved and went in the background, just faded away. all of it just faded away. And this is the way I'm dealing with the idea of me being the giver. Every time now that I'm since then that I'm about to give to somebody, that's what I repeat to myself before I start giving. I am giving and sharing from infinity times infinity, and I am an open valve outpouring divine blessings. It's not my ego, it's not me. I am just a conduit that is allowing celestial forces to pour through me. It is not Pierre the man, but it is my indivisibility with God that is now blessing you, that is now giving to you. Any questions, any comments? Now, this idea of giving from this higher perspective, from this kind of celestial perspective, is important, because if I'm giving from myself, there was a point where I'm going to be empty. But if I'm giving from infinity times infinity, I can't be empty. Now, whether this person decide to give back by being grateful or ungrateful, since I am infinity times infinity, that's not my problem. I don't have to worry about this. And moreover, all the past instances, let's say for all my past clients, all the past people that I feel were, sometimes it's not even money. There are times where I've given money to people. It's not even money. It's my energy, my time, my presence, that I know that I'm connected to God. And when people are around me, like even my friends that I hang out with, the reason they hang out with me is because I give them clarity. Just by me sitting next to them and doing meditation, they calm down. They completely calm down. They are completely in a different place. I don't mind it, but and when I'm not there, they miss that connection deeply. And this is the role that all of us, as we ascend, are supposed to play for the planet. Because the average person on the planet is not capable of doing, they don't have the discipline, they don't have it's not part of their karma and the role that they're supposed to play in the during the crossing, during the transit into the new earth. Our role is to achieve this ascendance and this connection and this illumination, and to broadcast the liberation, the freedom, and the ascension that we know to other people. Some of them will simply bask in our light like a moth running to a flame or to a light. Others will be encouraged to do the same that we're doing, which is to try to ascend as well. It depends on their karma and where they are. Any question, any comments about the giving and giving from infinity times infinity? So now what I'm doing as well is that, as I said, the past instances where I gave something big to somebody, I gave them a great gift, I gave them that or the other, and I didn't feel that I was valued or gratitude back or reciprocity in any ways, or it was performative. I'm going back in my memory in that instance and I'm repeating this. I am giving, I'm going back in the past and I'm reconfiguring the neuron net connection with that memory by repeating this over and over again. I am giving and sharing from infinity times infinity, and I'm an open valve outpouring divine blessings. Any questions, any comments? This is a great ask because all of us as healers are givers. But are we giving from the right place? When you give to your family, because family sometimes can be the most entitled. And they can sometimes make you feel the most resentful, the most unappreciated. I heard this a long time ago, and I consider it to be one of the greatest truths I ever heard. Only the people that you love can hurt you. And sometimes the people, the friends, family of choice, your own blood relatives, or the people that will test you the most, because you have a connection with them, and you have to learn to you have to learn to receive from them, and you have to also learn how to give them from the right place. Because if we can solve this between us, that's the whole point of this test with the Satan in the physical universe. If we can learn how to give and receive from a balanced manner, I'm receiving now, and when I receive, I have deep and profound reverence for the gift received. And when I'm giving from infinity. I'm sharing and giving from infinity times infinity, and I am an open valve, outpouring divine blessings. And if I'm really giving from these two, I'm grateful for what I receive, and I'm also giving whatever gift that I get. I am actually outpouring it. I'm sharing it with the world. I'm outpouring it. I'm not just taking for myself alone, but I'm being a conduit to allow it to pass through me, to share with the rest of the world. Does that make any sense, Esther? Okay. Oh, you're making me nervous now. No one is responding. Are you all hearing me?
Hear you loud and clear.
Okay, okay, good. All right. I thought I froze or something because Mercury is still retrograde, going out of retrograde tomorrow, but it's still there. Okay. So the idea is to figure out where you stand on both of these things, because it's a two-step thing. It's to actually reciprocate back to God, to the receiver, every time we're receiving, over and perpetually, all over again, over and over again, but also to give from a right place. As a giver, I can tell you this is a work in progress for me. It's a work in progress. I'm being very honest. In terms of the amount, the gifts that I'm channeling from God, I don't know how to price it. And I'm going to tell you why, because to me, when, for example, I was dealing with this couple and I was given this blessing, or for that matter, any other miraculous thing that have happened on my healing, either remote or physical, hands-on healing, it feels like I'm exhaling. It is so easy, it's like blinking my eyelid. And again, it doesn't feel to me that I'm making a real effort. And therefore, because I'm not making a real effort, again, bread or shame, I don't know how to charge for it. I hope this is making sense to you, because I'm in short order, as you begin to progress toward your ascension and toward your elevation, passing the Serapin and going over all the dweller experiences that you're having right now, and you will have. It's going to get to a point where you're going to be in that place. And I'm giving you these. I'm being kind by telling you that these landmarks are things that you're going to encounter if you have not already. And I know some of you have encountered this already. As you're giving to your friends, your family members, you can feel the ungratefulness in their heart, or the performative thank you, or sometimes not even thank you. They just walk away entitled, feeling that you as a family member, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to take care of me. Not for one moment saying, thank you for this blessing. The acknowledgement, the same way the four living creatures in the throne room of God in John chapter 4, over and over again, were saying to God, holy, 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 non-stop, praying to God and praising God. We need reciprocity. We need to hear over and over again that we are grateful for the gifts that we're receiving.
That's what I want.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. One of the things that occurred to me is that our whatever we give is a gift to us from God.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, the reason we are given the gifts is to use them, and to use them generously.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that I'm not talking about, we shouldn't expect reciprocation in some. That's not the part I'm talking about. But I'm talking about the gift itself.
Mm-hmm.
The gift itself is given for you to give, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. If you receive a blessing, okay. I remember when I was studying in the Kabbalah, they kept on talking about desire to receive. No ascended master is an ascended master when they are on earth, without mastering their desire to receive body, because they have
Right.
they have to anchor the gift from God into that vessel, but desire to receive so that I can share it. That's the qualification. That's what makes the difference. There are people who desire to receive for self alone. That's the ego. Whereas an ascended master, a spiritual being, is somebody that desires to receive gifts from the Creator, but to share it with others. So thus I am giving and sharing from infinity times infinity. And I am an open valve outpouring divine blessings. I am not the initiator or the prime mobilis. I am not the first mover. The way to understand this idea of being indivisible from God is to think of a drop of water dropping into the ocean. When you drop in the ocean, you dissolve and you're part of it. and no one can separate you from the ocean anymore. But when you're on earth as a physical vessel that has subdued your ego to a great degree, you allow this blessing that comes from the again infinity times infinity, this endlessness, this luminosity. And when that energy comes in, it pours into you. You then are able to share it with others and share the blessing. Like somebody like Anna. I was thinking about that a lot this morning as I was talking about this in the class this morning, that she saw 500 people, more than 500 people, and blessed all of them. But she's an incarnation of the goddess. In her, those two things are balanced. And everyone has a trouble or difficulty, a blessing, a special thing that they want from her. That one wants a divorce. That one has having difficulty losing their home. That one has, whatever it is sick, critically ill. That one has. She went and connected to source for everyone, and she blessed everyone. Do you know that there are times, particularly when individuals and clients, and particularly when people ask me to do healing for people, and it happens sometimes when I know I don't have consent because they didn't ask. They have a friend that's in crisis and they ask me, could you pray for my friend XYZ? I'm like, you need to ask them for permission. You can't ask me to do prayer for somebody. I can interject and project my energy grid in somebody else without consent. And there are times when somebody's asking me to do this, and if I'm thinking of the level of difficulty, because my friend has, whatever disease, and my friend is sick with this, my friend has that problem, my friend, if I am immediately clenching in my inside, and I feel like the sense of like, oh my God, this is so hard and so difficult. I don't know if I can do this. Maybe I'm an imposter. It's because my ego is going to try to do the healing. If I was standing in my identity as being indivisible with God, I would not clench. I would know through and through and in certainty that the God in me can remove all obstacles.
Yeah, can I go back to you're talking about being compensated for
Yes.
the gifts that you've passed and given to others.
Yes.
And as Esther was saying, God has gifted you with that gift, or gifted us all with gifts that we should then share, and that gives, in some way, a thanks back to God. I was reminded of the work that we were doing during the Gaiaville
Yeah.
era about our societal status, where people are compensated or need to make a living to survive, are compensated for the gifts that they might share or for the work that they share, and how in a more elevated or higher consciousness society, it would be open sharing and there would be no need for a compensation because everybody's needs are met.
Yes.
So that openness of sharing God's gifts can be really only part of our lives when when our world has achieved that status, I think. Meanwhile, we all need to survive and be compensated for the work, right? For the gifts that we might have that we're sharing with others. Sorry for that noise. I just wanted to speak about my thought about that because we do have a dichotomy, it seems to me. Sharing God's gifts with others is a way of thanking God for those gifts. And yet, until we reach a societal level where everybody is automatically cared for by the gifts being shared by everybody, then we do need to be compensated, right?
Yes. You're absolutely right, Janice, about everything that you said. But the idea, though, for me, is that how do I create a value system for the miracles that I'm able to pass on to somebody else? Because remember, I kept saying all the time, may the peace, the serenity, and the love that I know pass on to you. Because I literally feel that's what it is. It's that I'm holding this thing with God and I can feel the blessing and I'm just passing it on. And it feels like a blinking of an eyelid. So if I can do this, and very few people can do it, and people are achieving great healing, how am I compensated from this? Do I consider the past many other allopathic practitioner that they went through and charge them that cost? How do I? That's what I'm talking about. And part of the reason I can't do this, or I'm having difficulty doing this, is that I feel the ease of that flow coming from God, and there's a part of me that feels. I was talking to this with a group that I was involved with in the mastermind group, and this one woman said something very interesting. She said, "Pierre, my suggestion to you, you should charge an amount that allows you to have a comfortable living. Not a rich living, not an opulent living, but a comfortable living, so that your needs are met." And I thought that was a great answer. That was a great answer. Because otherwise, if you are trying to, because a lot of people in the group were like, well, if you're able to do this and they spend almost $60,000 for the 2 round of in vitro, this is what the value is. That's what you should charge. I can't charge $60,000 for something that was done out of some deep love and connection to God. At least I'm not at a point where I can value myself that way. Maybe in the future, I don't know, but I can't do this.
Well, I was thinking also about Georgie's comment about the money is Lakshmi's, not,
Yes.
and so it is therefore yours as well.
Yes.
There's that aspect as well. Though I understand totally as a performer, singer in my career, I don't say my former life, but people would say to me, "You're sharing something that God has given you. You shouldn't be paid for it." You know, if that were the case, then shouldn't everybody that works not be paid because they're all sharing some gift or other?
Yes. Yes. I understand, Janice, because I'm there with you, and I'm being honest and sincere because I want you to be aware that the moment your elevation happens, you're equally capable of doing what I've been doing and more. And you got people, when they begin to know that they're able to do this, they will be asking you. And you're going to have to figure out a way to create the proper boundaries to navigate. Because as long as we're in the 3D world, we have not transited in the 5D where everything, all our needs are being taken care of. We have to figure out a way to still exist in this world. The bills have to be paid, the lights have to be paid, the mortgage, the rent has to be paid. Right? And if all these things are true, then you need to figure out a way that you're compensated for, because they can't create that connection without you being the conduit for it. And you have to be able to accept, and I'm getting there. I'm better there. I'm better. I'm much better than when I was in 2015 when I was at that conference in Los Angeles. I'm way better now because it was very difficult for me to accept that I have to charge whatever it is. Even what I was charging at the time, I thought was too much. So it's a question of giving from a place of God and giving from a place of connecting to spirit and saying to yourself, if I'm able to do this, they're gonna have to give me something back for that for the time. And they're not paying you for the connection to God. They're paying you for the time, your time that you're spending with them to allow and to facilitate the ease and the healing that they're receiving.
Well, may I share with you a story? I'll try to make it brief.
Yes.
Story goes that there was a boiler that was not functioning properly in some building, and the workmen in the building tried and tried but could not fix it. They called in a specialist plumber. He had uh, spent years with systems like that, and he examined everything that they were telling him, and he reviewed everything on site. And he took a hammer and he banged some certain spot on the boiler, and it started to work all of a sudden. And so they were amazed and, of course, said, well, we're so appreciative, how much do we owe you? And he said, well, it was, I don't know, some huge amount of money. And they said, just for banging the hammer on the boiler? He said, no, you paid me for knowing how to do that.
Mm.
So it wasn't the action, but it was the knowledge that you had gained over many years of
Yes.
study.
Yes. Many lifetimes.
There you go.
It's not even years, many lifetimes. I've been trying to do this with all of you now for thousands of years. And I have been unsuccessful multiple times before.
So you're not being paid to know to bang the hammer, but you're being paid to know
That's a great
what
story.
to do, what to do.
That's a great story. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Janice. I appreciate this. I appreciate this. Any other questions or comments? Okay, let us take a break if there are no more questions or comments. 5 minutes break, and then we'll do our closing meditations. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. Open your heart. Breathe in deeply. Exhale out slowly. Let go. And notice what you noticed. I am indivisible from God. I am indivisible from infinity times infinity. The Father, Mother, and I are one. I am indivisible from the vast continents. I am indivisible from the luminosity. I am at rest in infinity times infinity. In the stillness of God, I am that I am. And I am one with the uncreated. I am the drop of water in the ocean. Expanding into endlessness and plurality of consciousness. I am everywhere simultaneously. Deep and profound reverence. for the gifts received. Deep and profound reverence for the gift received. Deep and profound reverence for the gifts received. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts. And I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts. And I receive with gratitude. I am giving and sharing from infinity times infinity. And I am an open valve, outpouring divine blessings. I am giving and sharing from infinity times infinity, and I am an open valve, outpouring divine blessings. I am giving and sharing from infinity times infinity. I am an open valve, outpouring divine blessings. I am giving and sharing from infinity times infinity, and I am an open valve, outpouring divine blessings. May the peace the serenity, the light, the resurrection, the liberation, and the ascension that I know pass on to everyone in my circle of influence. For I am giving, sharing from infinity times infinity. And I am an open valve, outpouring divine blessings. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you. Thank you, Pierre.
You're welcome, Janice. You're welcome. I want to thank all of you for listening tonight. If you're listening to us on Patreon, thank you for your support. On YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you next week. Have a blessed week, everyone. Love you so deeply.
Thank you, Pierre. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Good night. Love you all.
Yeah. Love you.